seriously.
Dancing and laughing, that's how we knew our Emily
Absolutely.
Matson.
Absolutely.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to First at 4. That is again dedicated to our beloved colleague and our dear friend Emily Matson, who we lost this week. We had such a therapeutic time on these couches yesterday with you, sharing our memories of Emily, and we're back to do it again.
Yeah, thank you for watching yesterday. We got so much feedback that you all enjoyed it, and we were so happy to know that so many people were right with us. For that hour, we weren't alone.
You know,
so thank you.
We've heard so many times over the past couple of days, even from people who say, I did not know Emily, but this has been so heavy on my heart, and I have not stopped thinking about her. I've heard that so many times. So you're allowed to mourn Emily, because she was larger than life and a big personality, and I think that came through the screen. So we're excited to do it again.
And we are still mourning, but we are celebrating too, because she was so much fun, and she was such a fire and such a spirit. And we joked yesterday. We always joke that sometimes Kara and I manage to match each other. It's just we have this weird sense, but we did it purposely yesterday wearing the black and gold because Emily loved her Steelers. And today, every single Friday without fail, Emily wore red for the veterans and first responders. And so there's just this whole newsroom today is a sea of red.
It is, and it's so nice to look around, and I think Emily would be happy, because oftentimes she would say, of course I'm wearing red. Where's your guys' red? It's red for the military and red for veterans. So yeah, we're honoring Emily today, and we're doing that for the next hour.
Yeah, we've got about 7 people. Who knows? Other people might be showing up. We have a lot of former colleagues that have come into town for the funeral, and they're starting to pop in, and they're like, yeah, I want to share a story. So I don't know how many people we're going to have on today. It's a whole slew. But we're going to start with somebody, and I've got a little story about it once we introduce him. But he was the first person that I thought of when we were coming up with guests to have in on today. So let's play a little bit of sound from our Jake Banta.
I don't recall ever seeing her in a bad mood. And so she's just a breath of fresh air. She was a ray of sunshine. She would come out and be a lot of fun. And I used to text her once in a while when I would see something on the news, something funny. And she is going to be missed by many and loved by more.
Jake, thank you so much for joining us today. I texted you were in Harrisburg working on that budget, that state budget, and I said we'd really love to have you on because Emily was a huge fan, she was a friend. And the quick story that I have to tell is, of course, with 8 Great Tuesdays, we would always look for the lineup, and then at work, because we sponsor it, we'd have to take turns and introduce the different opening acts. And every year when Jake was on the schedule,
nobody had a chance.
Nobody had a chance, because Emily was like, Amanda, you're in work, you get our names on that. Emily and I quite often introduced you, but she was a great fan. She loved you. She loved to go out to Sprague's and listen to you play. And so you were one of my first thoughts. We've got to get Jake in here.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, and you were close with Emily in a professional way, but also a little bit personal as the years went on.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think of the first time I met her, but we, back in the band days, she would come out and just, the first thing I said to my wife was she was just always a smiling bit of sunshine to see. She would come out and smile and be, it's not always easy, as we know, to be upbeat and be, that happy, give off that vibe to everybody else that's around you. And she was that way, and but I got a lot of good memories with her and a lot of laughs and a lot of fun with her and their family. And certainly we're going to miss her. The community is going to deeply miss a good friend, and the community loves her, and what I've heard from people is just amazing. They've reached out to me, and I said, I knew her well enough that I could call her a friend and text her. I happen to think of one quick story. So one night she was on the news here, and she said a joke, and her co-anchor didn't get it or something, and I started laughing in my living room, and I immediately grabbed my phone and I said, I got it. So we talked about it later, but another good memory is she came to I did a memorial thing for veterans, and she came and she was on the back, I think, of Rick Cars Trike or something. And I knew some people there, but I was just taking in the vibe and the whole thing. And I looked over, and here's Rick. He's kind of like a little dude, and she was on the back, full of life and smiling on the back of that bike. And I go, that is perfect. It was a great shot. It made me smile that day, as she often did.
Yeah. Well, she loved, like you said, she loved those who served in the military, as you did. She loved our veterans. She had such respect for that, and you know, that's why she always showed that on air with her red. But she loved you as a musician as well too. And now you're an elected political official. Just maybe talk a little bit about how a personality like Emily affects the community, and the loss of Emily affects so many of your constituents.
You know, we are a small community, so when you see somebody on TV like you guys every night, you get to know them. I've gotten to know you some, and now you. But when you get to know somebody for that many years, over time, it just becomes it's part of your daily regimen. You know, they're one of the local people that you see, and you see them in a store, and you go, oh, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
And that's the same way with me. I had the band for years, and unfortunately, I got to be a representative now. But I'm still the same guy. I'm from Waterford, and it's just it's a small knit community, and that's what it's about. That's what's going to be the hardest thing to miss, is that she's not here because she's one of us.
Yeah, and I think we've heard that so much over the past few days. She was so real, and what you saw on air was what you got off air as well. She was authentic and genuine, and I think she would be proud to know that came through the TV screen to a lot of people.
Yeah,
it did. For sure.
Very much a part of the community. Jake, thank you again for rushing back from Harrisburg. We're so glad to have you with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me in, and to, of course, Emily's family. Wish them the best, and the community is going to miss a great soul.
Yeah, and Emily loved the community, and I think she has a few words about what she thought about being a part of this community. Take a look.
I always say the best part of my job is telling stories, telling other people's stories in our community, and telling them in a way that makes them happy and that is entertaining to our audience too. I've got to meet celebrities along the way in this career, but I always say the people stories I enjoy telling the most are the people in our communities, those real stories. That's what I like most about my job, is meeting people in the community and telling their stories.
She did. I loved Emily in purple. I know she loved red, but I loved her in purple too.
And we want to bring in our next guest, Tracy Daly. And a lot of times Emily was just saying in that soundbite that she loved telling the stories of the community. And so many times if there would be a story about a tragedy or a loss, especially of a child, Emily would say, Emma's Footprints, let me give you the contact I have, or Lucy's First Step, let me take you to who I know there. She loved what you guys were doing.
Yeah. Tell our viewers a little bit about Emma's Footprints.
Yeah, so we are a local nonprofit that helps families that have experienced a pregnancy or infant loss. So anywhere from an early term loss up into if the baby is 12 months old. Our big mission expenses, we pay for funerals, cremations, headstones, counseling, but the heart of our mission is to walk beside families on their grief journey.
Yeah. And Emily experienced a bit of this 6 or 7 years ago, and she came to your organization. So you guys started off your relationship in a really personal way, right?
Yeah, you know, the support groups that people attend, we get to know people in such a personal way, and we get to hear their hearts, and we try to create that safe place for people to walk through and navigate their grief with.
And then she was active in some of your fundraisers and events that you had. Talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, we love when we have champions, especially maybe on the local news crew, for attending our walks and getting our mission, our story out there. Because if families don't know that we are here in the community, we can't help and serve them. So she was really a powerhouse on the inside, giving out our information, which I know there's been a ripple effect of her getting families to the correct resources to really help them.
And do you find that that's where word of mouth helps an organization like yours, especially in a community our size?
Yeah, especially with our mission. Our mission is really hard and it's heavy. And when I tell people what we do, I watch their face kind of like, give me that look, and I'm like, okay, but hold on, but there's hope, I'm like, I'm gonna bring it back up, and we provide that just that lost community that you can join and really just set that stuff down.
It seems to be something that really is not talked about, I think because it's so deeply rooted with sorrow and grief, but we should talk about it more. I mean, when I started learning about organizations like yours and Lucy's First Step, I didn't realize that we had those resources and how tremendous they are and what a help they are.
Yeah, I am honored and humbled to be able to meet a family in one of their darkest moments of life, but to be able to surround them and give them the resources and the professional help, and like I said, that community, watching them get little bits back to their heart that was broken, and give them hope and healing, and that it only can happen out of word of mouth, because like I said, it's just really hard to go, to talk about what we do.
And I know Emma's footprints definitely provided Emily some comfort in her time of grief. Tracy, what are you going to remember about Emily?
She was authentic. I think you mentioned that when Jake was just here, and her realness to be who she is here on camera and then out in the community, and her drive and just championing, which lots of guests today are going to speak about what she means to our organization.
Yeah.
And I really think, for us personally, we've already been talking about how do we, in Emily's memory, and in memory of her baby, how do we do something for her, because she is important, her baby is important, and how can we do that as a little piece of this community to make her legacy live on?
And I think we could have had so many guests. We're going to talk to Nicole from the Humane Society coming up. Groups like this, nonprofits in our area that Emily did champion for. And I think, for us, it feels natural in what we love and that we can help spread the word, but for organizations like yours, it's so important.
Oh yeah, especially small nonprofits like us. But
And you were such a godsend for Emily at the time too. So I want to thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I just want to remind people, grief has no timeline, and it does not matter. I'm Emma's mom, and she turned 16 this year, but I will be her mom for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so there is no, oh, that happened X amount of years ago, aren't you over it yet? So Emily will always be Kayla's mom.
Exactly.
And that will never stop.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today.
you for having
We're really trying hard not to.
I know, that was a tough one.
Right there,
Oh my
right there. There you go. Yes.
We appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
for having me.
Yeah.
We're gonna invite Nicole Leone over. Let's go from this to puppies.
Yeah, let's do it. Come on over, Nicole.
Come on over.
We're going to switch
Yeah.
you guys out real quick. Tracy,
Thank you
having
so
me.
much. Hi, Nicole. Thanks for joining us. Erie
you're
Humane
Emily
Society.
Red.
Yes,
And thank you for wearing red today.
absolutely. We know Emily loved red too, and she loved to support the veterans, so I'm happy to be
She
wearing
did.
red.
Talk a little bit about your friendship with Emily.
Well, I've been at the Humane Society almost 9 years.
You can
And-
grab tissues.
I know, I'm going to.
No, here, I've got some ready. Here we go.
Thank you. I just remember her fierceness for animals, and when I first started, we had a really difficult cruelty case that was a big one. It was a dog fighting case, and she and Chris Carroll championed and really invested a lot of time and energy into this case. And we had taken, I think, 7 pit bulls that we had hold as evidence for a year and a half. And as the case wrapped, the animals they became property of the Humane Society then, because we had won the case and we were able to make them available for adoption. And Emily's authentic self was so beautiful, because when one of the dogs went available for adoption, I came to Finding Forever Families, and this was really early on in my career.
Yeah, during the 12:30 show.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, so that's how long ago.
Yeah.
And I remember walking in with Lovins, and she was this little black pit bull, and Emily's bolsterous laugh, and she walked out and she goes, "I love Lovins." I just loved that about her. She'd only seen the dog maybe a few times, and obviously pictures from the case, but she loved animals so much, and she championed for them in our community, and she championed for those ones that really came through treacherous situations through our cruelty division.
Yeah.
You know, so many times when we have guests come through the door, they often first hear Emily's voice because it
Yes.
was loud and boisterous. And I have to share this really quick. Dr. Becky Dawson, who was a part of our coronavirus and COVID-19 coverage for so long, she said once she returned to the building and was able to do in-person interviews again, she walks in the door and Emily says, "Look who's in the house. You have legs." Because we had only seen her on a Zoom interview, you know. You have legs. But that was so Emily to greet you like
It
that.
was, and I just love that about her. I'm a straight shooter myself, and I always have appreciated her her boisterous sense of humor, her laugh,
Yeah.
but her love for animals, and that's actually how she got Lakin, a cat that came through our cruelty division.
Yeah.
There were young boys who did not know how to treat animals,
Yeah.
and they threw Lakin in the lake, and that turned into a cruelty case that Emily was very invested in, and she just absolutely loved her, and and loved her so much, and was again very into wanting to champion for animals that needed our support.
She had such a big heart,
Yeah.
and she would just be, for lack of no pun intended, a bulldog if she felt that there was injustice.
Yes.
And she would treat those stories and just, do her very best to get the word out and to do everything she could to right the wrong.
And get the justice that they needed.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what myself and I'm sure the rest of the animal community, because I'm sure she's covered so many cases for the Anna shelter or BYC or what have you. And she was always really into Clear the Shelters. And that's when she adopted Lakin, was our 2019 Clear the Shelters. So I loved what she did for the animal community, and again, being authentic, and we at the Humane Society appreciate that. And we've talked a lot about our memories of Emily because several of us have had experiences with her. Our cruelty division, Emily McCullough, as you know. So we've shared a lot of really great memories about her. And her light will live on. And at the Humane Society, we are going to actually have a kennel sponsored in her name to carry out her memory forever, because she did a lot for us.
She would love that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nicole. Gosh.
We thought today was going to be easier.
Yeah. Wow. Nicole.
She touched so many people.
She did.
So it's something that we feel like we want to do for her, but
It's wonderful.
We had fun with her. We
Yeah.
laughed with
Yeah.
her.
And
We did.
I think over the past few days, thank you,
John.
I'm thinking of what you just said. I'm thinking of people in offices getting around, or families at dinner tables and sharing their memories of Emily. I think that's happening all over
It
our
is.
city, and I think that's really refreshing and comforting.
Her light was bright, and she did so many things. Like you were just talking to Emma's, and just the amount of good she's done in the community, and people want to carry that on for her. And I know our animals appreciate it. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for naming that kennel in honor of her. That's
Yeah.
tremendous.
Yeah.
She would love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so
and
much for
sharing your
having me,
story. We
guys.
do appreciate it.
I know I'm a crier.
We are
Okay,
too.
You're okay.
Then you're on the right couch
You're
this year.
We're gonna switch the theme a
Yes.
little bit. We're gonna laugh a little bit more now.
That's great.
We saw a video yesterday that Jameson shared. I never knew that Emily crawled right into the ring and took on wrestlers. Let's take a little look at that. She did it.
We needed that, John.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We needed a laugh on Emily.
She took care of business, didn't she?
She did. That's what I loved about Emily the most. Was she was so soft, but she had a feisty spirit.
Well, we've
to
heard
her.
from a lot of reporters that have come through this station over the past few years, and a lot of them have said, "I was a little scared of Emily at first, but once you crack Emily."
Yeah,
she's the best."
absolutely. You can see why. I mean, I met her way back in high school. We're the same age. Kind of ran in some of the same circles. I can't pinpoint exactly when, but she's supported the local pro wrestling scene ever since. And everybody at Erie News Now has, but she really went out of her way. And a lot of people can be hesitant to do something like that.
Yeah.
And she was ready, willing, and able the first time I asked.
And you are invited to our show anytime you want, but I don't know if I'm stepping into the
No,
ring.
yeah, no, I
Emily
get it.
wasn't afraid to do
No,
that.
Jameson's
she was up for
gotten in
anything.
there.
Crawled right in there.
Yeah, and when it was our first event back after COVID, so we, all the help we can get to get a big crowd there, and she helped us, had us on the station a bunch, promoting us, and then my opponent, Jock Sampson, that night actually called her out a bunch of times, and as you can see, she came in the ring to check on me to make sure I was okay. And this is a fun story. The night before the event, she called me and said, "Am I going to get involved physically?" I'm like, "Oh, maybe." And last time I had seen her, I'd shown her a move or two. But about 10 hours before the event, I get a video on my phone, and it's her either in her basement or her garage, just smacking this punching bag.
Getting ready.
And look, is that how I do it? And then laughing and smacking it again. I'm like, sure. And if you see the video, she tries the smack, but she ended up doing the field goal.
Yes.
Okay,
For 3
yep.
points right on
Yes. She knew how to take care of business.
Yeah, and then my other favorite part about just this whole event was 2 weeks after that event. I actually looked at the message last night. Very long, that she went to Wendy's on a lunch break here, and the guy in the window, they handed the food, went nuts. You're Emily Matson. You're Emily Matson. But it wasn't because of being on the news.
No.
It was Emily Matson that was in the
the
ring,
ring.
kicking the guy for 3 points and helping me win. Like, honest to God,
That's
she was like
amazing.
a long mess. It was awesome.
You didn't give her a belt? She didn't get a belt to walk around with?
There's a couple pictures out there holding the championship belt. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not the champ at the moment, but she was just unbelievable. It's like I said, a lot of people are hesitant to do that stuff with professional wrestling, and the fact that she did warms my heart.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a weird coincidence. I'm actually wrestling tonight.
Oh, wow.
Here in Lawrence Park. We have these smaller events to coincide with our bigger ones, and starts at 7:30. And if anybody's going to be there, did you see the belt right there?
There it
if anybody's going to be
is.
there,
moment.
I'm personally going to open the show with a 10-bell salute to Emily.
That's beautiful.
So if anybody's out in Lawrence Park, it's at the St. Mark's Church at 7:30 tonight. But
Great.
that's how we're going to start that.
When you, moving forward, when you think of Emily, what's the first thing you're going to think of?
What a lot of people have said in the last 2 days is laughter, joy, having fun with every situation. Like I said, a lot of people would be hesitant to do that, but she jumped right in,
Yep.
Yeah.
no qualms about it, and just went for it.
And I think
Embraced
for
it.
a lot of us, as we hear this over and over, you think about your own legacy, and wow, you want people to remember you like they're remembering Emily,
Yeah.
a bright light, laughing,
Yep.
funny, vibrant.
I never saw a time where she wasn't laughing.
know.
You
Yeah.
know, it's
Well, thank you for joining us today and
welcome, yeah.
sharing your
Thank
thoughts
you.
and
Thank
your
you.
memories
Making
and that
us
video.
laugh.
We've
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
enjoyed that. I'd forgotten about all that, and it's been fun to see it
yeah,
again.
absolutely. Well, maybe we'll have more of it someday.
Maybe we
No.
will. Thanks,
All
John.
this hour is all about honoring Emily's legacy. We'll do that with this next video here. I love that tribute there that said Emily was so much more than our local news anchor. And we've been
Yeah.
hearing a lot of that and what she meant to the community and the organizations that meant a lot to her. And
Yeah. Look
Well,
who's joining
I
us.
know,
Paul
look who's
Wagner.
back. Hi,
Out
Paul.
of
Hey,
retirement.
ladies.
Thank you for coming in today.
Sure, a tough week for everybody.
It
that's for
is.
It's been
It
heavy.
is. And it's times like this, like I thought about you quite often because, we worked together for so long. And then when something like this happens, I think that we found a lot of comfort in being all together.
And, and I think you think of those stories in the newsroom, and John Last was on the couches yesterday saying how his noise-canceling headphones wouldn't cancel us out. You remember those days,
yeah,
right?
not Emily's laugh. Headphones wouldn't do it. I think he would need something a lot more powerful
Yeah.
than that. But we talk so much about the fun stuff, and I have some fun stories. But I don't want to have people forget that she was a terrific reporter.
She was.
A really good reporter.
Really
and
good.
I did the crime and courts beat for years and years, and she came in and she picked it up a heck of a lot faster than I did. And she had contacts in the police and the FBI, the ATF, everywhere, and they trusted her. But What she did really well, more even than that, she had empathy. And the victims of crime and their families, they knew that she cared. If there was vandalism, if there was a murder, something in the neighborhood, she cared. And I remember helping her with a couple of special reports she did on cold cases. And she really wanted to do that to bring some closure for these families who their relative had been murdered, 20 years ago. And she was hoping that doing these stories would create some phone calls or tips and give some closure to these families.
Yeah.
And she was that was important to her.
She was trusted.
She really was.
On both sides, by officials and also just by the people in the streets, the community. They really did trust her to tell their stories.
She started as an overnight producer, and so that wouldn't have necessarily been on your shift.
Right.
But as you reflect back of your time here at Erie News Now and WICU, what are some of your earlier memories of Emily coming into the fold?
Well, I just know that she always was willing to do whatever it took, even if she wasn't really familiar with it, from going from a producer to a reporter to an anchor. And the thing, as far as her adaptability, that I really remember is a lot of our viewers probably know that we have a Caribbean news, operation, and that, she would broadcast the news to the Caribbean. But one time, one of the important reporters down in St. Thomas left. So there was a big hole there. So I only said, I'll move to St. Thomas.
I'll go.
She moved to the U.S. Virgin Islands.
did.
She drove a car. She got an apartment. She found
Got a
out the
camera.
leaders in business and industry and politics.
Made
and
friends.
she covered it for months. And she did a great job.
Well, most recently, she's been doing a Guam newscast, and she didn't just throw it together. She said, I spent an hour and 45 minutes looking into this one, 45-second story because she wanted to do it right. So whether it was right down the street or in Guam, she really did want to make sure that stories were accurate and perfect.
And I remember when she was given the assignment to go to USVI, I was kind of disappointed because it was supposed to be a long-term kind of thing. She was called back early because COVID hit.
Yep.
So she ended up coming back, but she was kind of disappointed. She was really starting
liked
to
it.
root a little life down there, and she was enjoying it.
And of course, she was a sun worshiper, so
Yes,
there's nowhere
she
better than
loved
being
the
in
sun
St.
and
Thomas.
the water. And
beaches.
actually, I have a story coming up at 6 o'clock all about her work in the Caribbean. And she went up to Toronto to cover a carnival so many times, and to see her in that light is so much fun. And so that's coming up at 6 o'clock. But I talked to one of our correspondents with One Caribbean Television, DeAndre Hamilton, and she said she had this ability just to connect with people. I mean, right away. In their lowest lows, their devastation by a hurricane, and she connected with them, and she was fearless.
She really did. Now, a couple funny stories.
Yeah,
too.
let's
Let's do it.
You've heard from some of your other guests. She loved Irish culture. She loved the
Yes.
St. Patrick's Day parade. She and I walked in it for many, many
Yes,
years.
you did.
She loved meeting people, taking pictures with them, throwing candy to the kids. She'd wear funny hats, green shamrocks, tattoos, you name it. Absolutely loved it. And we had a great time. Her family would meet us at the Irish bars. We had a great time. But one year, right after that, I recall we were in the newsroom, and one of the big traveling Broadway shows was coming. I think it was Riverdance or Lord of the Dance. And we were talking about how much we were looking forward to going with the Irish step dancing. And she looked over to me and she said, I do that. I said, you do what? She said, I can do that. I did that, for years. As a kid, I took dance lessons. And of course, me being a smart aleck, I said, show us.
Yeah,
you
prove
can't
it.
Irish dance. What do you? Took her sweater off in the newsroom, got up with high heels, and she did the whole Irish step dance. And she was fantastic.
She was a ringed. What do you call them? Didn't she do that?
I think she did.
Yes.
And it's funny because our owner, Brian Lilly, recalls that being one of his first memories of her breaking down in the Irish jig because it goes to your
and she
memory.
didn't just do it, she did it really good.
Yeah.
I mean, she was fantastic.
And what's funny, I know I met her parents and her sister on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
I think we all got
We
to
all
know
did,
the
yeah.
Matson family. After
She would
St.
take that
Patrick's.
day off and days after off because she
Oh,
was
yeah.
going to do it upright, celebrate it right.
She knew how to do it upright. The other funny story that I remember was we all know how she would give eggs to the newsroom. She and her husband had chickens out in their property out in Fairview. And the first time she gave me the eggs, I looked at them, I took them home. My wife and I had them, and my wife said, these are the best eggs we've ever had. So the next week, we got more eggs. Fantastic. We said, we got to give her a gift. Well, I knew what kind of wine she liked, red wine, she liked Cabernet Sauvignon, so I got this wine. Left it on her desk the next day. She was so thrilled. She thanked me, then came over later and whispered, she said, if the chickens keep laying them, you've got eggs every week.
Is
is a nice exchange we've got here,
And
Paul.
she never forgot. She never forgot. There would always be a little note on my computer. The eggs are in the refrigerator. Nobody else touch them. And she have my name, Paul. Do not touch them.
Paul's eggs.
She was proud of those chickens.
Oh, yes.
She loved them.
She invited our families out to go, and I remember when my Leo was, I don't even think he was 1. We all went out to the farm. She showed us the horses. She showed us the coop. She was proud of that.
Yeah, she
she
sure
was,
was.
and she liked sharing it.
Did you ever have to give her any advice? Did she ever come to you asking for advice?
When she first started, especially about the crime in the courts, because I had done it for so many years, and the court system is kind of complicated, the different personalities and the different ways trials happen, she would ask me. But once she got rolling, she was kind of on her own. I mean, we would exchange different people we would meet, or I would give her cell phone numbers of different people, but she kind of knew the drill after a few years.
Yeah, she was great. Thank you so much, Paul,
Thank
for
you
coming in
having me.
today.
It's great to
happy
remember her. It's such
Yes.
a difficult week for everybody,
Yeah,
but
no.
so many good memories too.
There are. We
Absolutely.
love hearing these stories. And as always, you're such a good storyteller. So we could sit here for hours and
Thanks for
listen to
inviting
your
me.
stories.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. It's good to see you.
We're going to welcome in Justin Carter, who, come on over, Justin. We'll just swap out. We've got
We'll
a nice
swap right
off the
out.
top shot. You have a nice handshake and hug to Paul there.
My girls.
Hi.
It's like a homecoming on Emily's behalf, and
Yeah.
I love that. And I think she would love that too, to see all these faces.
Yeah, so happy that Paul would come in and sit with us. And then we have, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of you are coming in from out of town. You're in Atlanta now.
Yes, I
Yeah.
just got off the plane.
Wow.
Maybe
And you
a
rushed
few
right
hours ago.
over, and I said, "You get him on these blue couches." What are you doing?
But
Where are you?
I'm in Atlanta, and as soon as I heard the news, I said it was a no-brainer. And I say this all the time: you are my family. You know, the four of you, Amanda, Kara, Eva, and Emily, were just like my news aunties, my news sisters, my news
we were
moms.
your first
your
job.
first job,
My
right?
first job.
Yeah.
And so I am getting, the experience as a new reporter. And who do I call for anything, for context? If I am hungry and I need some food, or I need, you know what I mean? Or I need advice. Amanda, we sat in that booth and we went over my stories
A lot of times,
every
yeah.
night.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Emily was one of those people. And so how could I not be here?
Yeah, I'll go
You know,
too.
there is something about your first job, especially your first job in TV. You remember those people that lifted you up. And that is something that Emily was so good at, making sure that these young reporters that come in knew what they were doing. She set you straight, but she was so willing to help.
Yeah,
She
if
was
you were
so
willing to learn.
Yeah. Oh,
And if
absolutely.
you were, then she just was so excited to work with you.
And a lot of times I would sit there and I'm like, how is Emily getting the lead story every day?
'Cause she was good.
She was good.
It was good.
And that is something that just always stuck out to me. And I always just wrote down, like, how is Emily able to cultivate these contacts? I've really studied her because she was just a great example in the newsroom of what it took to be a journalist, really a staple in our community.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, to be in a double box with her. One story I did, it was a horrible story. It was a mass shooting that happened. And I just felt so honored to be able to tell that story in a double box next to her. We did team coverage. And it was one of my last stories here in Erie back in 2016. And I just remember I put it on my resume tape, and I just felt so proud to be next to her and to just to be led by her in that moment. It was just one of those stories that we talked about for weeks.
Yeah.
And just getting coached by her, it was just an honor.
She was also really fun,
Oh.
as we keep talking about.
Oh my God. She was the first anchor that I met on set. When Pam, our former GM, general manager, she brought me in to interview me, and Emily, it might have been like 11:45 or like 11:50, right before the noon newscast, and Emily is rushing in. She has a mouthful of Listerine.
Yes,
Yes, she did.
that's a memory I haven't heard this
That's
week.
true, though.
Yes.
Yes, always. You're right.
She is like swishing her mouth
Yes.
with
And
Listerine.
Salen's laughing over there. We had all
And I'm
forgotten
like-
about that, but it's so true.
What is wrong with her? And so I had to ask her what was in her mouth, and she said, "Oh, it's Listerine. Just give me a second." And she always told us, like, before you hit the news desk, she always likes to have fresh breath.
Yes, who doesn't?
And
Justin?
I just had a piece of gum, and it always
Thank you.
stuck out with me.
Well, you know,
to-
listen,
is
the funny
hilarious.
thing about the Listerine is that now I have something in the bathroom. I have mouthwash,
you do.
but it's in the bathroom. And you go in the bathroom and you swish it. But no, Cher's is at her desk.
At her
And
desk.
you're right. And she's the only person I've ever known
For like
that has
5
taken care of that in the newsroom at her desk.
You're right.
Listerine, like that's what I think.
That is a memory I have
Thank you
not
for
heard
bringing
this
something
week.
in,
Yes,
a
I
new
love
gem,
the
a
Don't you
Listerine
remember that?
memory.
Man, that is so funny. And so literally it carried me through my jobs. And I was an anchor in Springfield for 3 years during COVID, and I always had like a breath mint or Listerine nearby or gum, because I always think like Emily
Go in
always
there
had
with
fresh
To have that fresh breath.
How funny.
And my co-anchors thanked me for it.
I'm sure they
I'm sure
do.
they
So thank
did.
you.
Yeah.
You know, as you move forward in your career, what kind of Emilyisms are you going to take along with you to continue on as you grow?
Yeah, you know what? Just leading with compassion. You know, Emily really dealt with some tough stories, probably the toughest, you know, throughout the day. And she always led with compassion, with people. And I was watching yesterday, and you know, they trusted her. A lot of the officials and a lot of, you know, police and fire, they trusted her because they knew that Emily would handle it with care. And that's something that's always, you know, walk with me. You have to handle these stories with care, and that's how you
They're
gain people's
people,
trust.
yeah. And you know, she was so easy to watch. She made
Yeah.
it look easy. And I think John was talking about that yesterday when he was first watching some live shots with her. She just made it look so easy. And so it was fun.
I love listening to her voice too. I find myself to be quite often a viewer. I'll record this show and then I'll sit back and I'll watch it as a viewer later. And I always loved listening to her tell me the news of the day, the news of the evening. She had a great way to present it in a way that was compassionate but factful. And yeah,
It just felt, it felt good listening to her. I never felt like, I never felt like Emily was telling a lie. And, you know, it just was always good to hear from authentic. And it felt good listening to her voice, like you said.
I would be in the green room getting ready for the 4, and she would be finishing Guam, but she would often track stories, you know, lay the sound under. I remember her coming out one day, and I'm like, I love your track.
Yeah.
It sounds so good. It's just, it's natural.
She quite often would say she loved her grandma, and her grandma always watched her, especially when she was doing the 12:30 newscast. And so she was always very careful. She'd say, "What would grandma wouldn't like that? If I said it this way, grandma wouldn't like that, and I'm going to hear it."
That's a part of being an anchor in your hometown. That kid.
In the back of her mind.
Well, she would always share things her mom would say. You know, oh, the right side of your hair is not looking right.
Yes.
Or, you know, her
Fix
mom would
that.
text her in the middle of the show. I'm not sure if I like the eyeshadow today. And Emily was like, I'm in the middle of a show, you know.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Something else that stuck out to me too is she was very inquisitive. She always asked questions. She always wanted to know what was going on in my world. For example, like I remember Beyonce came out with a song, and she said, "I have hot sauce in my bag," and Emily wanted to know what that was about. Like, Justin, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
And I had to explain to her, like, you know, sometimes food isn't seasoned, so you have hot sauce in your bag, and so that's why
literal.
Beyonce
Have
was
it ready.
saying it.
It is literal.
So just those funny kind of authentic moments. Emily didn't know everything, but she was always willing to learn and more about me and my culture.
Well,
and
whether it's hot sauce in your bag or Listerine at your desk, just do it, right?
Just do it.
Just
Love it.
do
Yes, yeah, she was so awesome, and I'll miss her.
it was so
Us
fun.
too.
We all
We
will.
love you, Justin.
I
Thank
love
you so
you.
much for stopping in.
I
We're
love
so
you
glad
guys.
you're here.
Yeah.
Not under these circumstances,
I
but
know.
it's been so good to share these memories with you.
Absolutely, I'm so glad to be here, and I'll be here all weekend, just sharing those memories and moments, and hugging you guys as much as I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need it. Thanks,
Yeah, we
Justin.
do.
Yeah.
We've got another beautiful video montage of Emily for you to enjoy.
You know what I think before I even think it myself.
Okay, yeah, that was Emily singing. That was Emily singing.
that.
Did you catch that, Kristen?
Yes, and it was not hard to catch her singing because she did it all the time.
Kristen Allen is joining us now. Kristen, where
Pretty
you were with
red.
us for a couple years, and then you moved on, as many of our
Yep.
young people do. Where are you now?
Knoxville, Tennessee, which is my hometown market.
Okay, which is very
so
nice for you.
Yeah.
So now you have to be careful about how you look in your hair because all your family's watching
Yes,
you.
because my mom's got my eyeshadow. She
Yep.
don't like it today. I heard that from Emily all the
Yes.
time. She said, not the best top, Em.
Yeah. Well, we talked yesterday, Brooke, our producer, saying that whenever somebody did something good that Emily thought was great, that she'd always hit Tina Turner, "You're simply the best."
Yes.
And she would play that. I didn't know, because working days and not nights, that she had this whole music thing. So tell us about that little snippet of video that we just listened to, you catching her singing.
Yeah, so Emily loved Snapchat. It was her favorite form of social media. She didn't know how to use it half the time.
Well.
So anytime she did something funny, we would snap it in our little group message between me, our producer Brooke, and her. And that day, Brooke did something great. And so she just started serenading her. And I was like, if I can capture Emily in a video, that's it.
That's it.
Is always celebrating other people while
Yes.
obviously being great herself.
Yeah.
And you know, so many times over the past couple of days, your Snapchats have been shared because they are so funny and they're the authentic Emily behind the scenes. So now you have all those memories. And your guys' group chat went on.
Yeah,
just a couple of days ago.
I left here in Erie September 23, and it never ceased.
Yeah.
It kept going. And recently, I got promoted to mornings at my new job, and I'm an anchor there in the morning. And she was the first person I told. And so I'm so sorry.
No, please.
Probably because you knew she was going to be so proud of you.
Yes, she was so proud of me, and she was such a night owl. She worked night side, and she would come home, and often when I was here, I was night side too. I was the night side reporter. So her, Brooke, and I would either go to Calamari's for drinks after work. That was at least a once a week thing. And then we would go home and still just send each other Snapchat videos about what we're doing. I would send my cats. She would send her dogs. I remember we were talking about Lakin was the cat's name, but Emily named her Lily because we work at Lily Broadcasting whenever she rescued her. Lily, also known as Kitty Kitty, but we got many Snapchats of Kitty Kitty bringing in some kind of critter into the
out on the
house.
farm.
There was a lot of chipmunks and things like that. So yeah, our relationship went far beyond a mentorship, but she was my first mentor in news.
Yeah. And that was one of the first things we thought about when we wanted to talk with you, because, you know, and Justin touched on it, but she did really spend a lot of time with, this is a smaller market. A lot of times people are here, it's their first job. And so we all like to, when we have an opportunity to mentor a little bit, but Emily was really great at it. What were some of the real key things that Emily taught you being a female in this business moving forward?
I won't say the phrase she used.
Okay, no,
You can tell us off air.
But talking about getting tough.
Yeah.
Like, I guess as a woman, you know, you get scared to go out places. And a lot of times in this business, we are out with a camera by ourselves.
Yeah.
And I would say, Emily, I'm scared to death to do this. And she would be like, well, if you really are scared, we'll send somebody out there. But I just need you to get tough. Go out there and get the story.
Get
and that's
tough
what
and
she
get it.
did every time. She was absolutely fearless. I remember one night, her and Mike were anchoring a show, and we heard over the scanner a shooting somewhere in Erie. I was the only person here that could operate a camera, and they wanted to send me out there, and I was like, I'm not comfortable going out here. So Emily hopped off the desk, middle of the show, hopped in the car and rode with me out there.
Wow.
Of course, we get out there, and it's like one cop car, nothing's going
on.
And she was like, well, maybe just spray some video. Maybe the morning show will want it. At least we tried.
Yeah.
So I think what I take from her is just that toughness and getting the story, because that's what she always did. And I remember she was very encouraging, but she wasn't going to give you a compliment unless she meant it.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
She did not just hand those out.
No.
So,
And nothing was sugar-coated.
no, and that's what made her so great for young people, is because whenever I got here, I was pretty confident in myself. Like, I thought I was a decent reporter. I had some growing to do for sure, but she really molded me.
Yeah.
And if you were one of those people that could be molded, she it was like a magnet.
Well, in one of your posts about Emily, you called her fiercely loyal. And I think she was a fiercely loyal
Fiercely
friend.
loyal.
She loved hard.
Yeah.
She loved strong.
I remember one instance here, I was ready to get on the anchor desk from the moment I got here. But as you guys know, you got to work your way up.
Yeah.
You can't just hop up there. But so I heard a lot of, you're not quite ready yet. You're not quite ready yet from her and then from people in management. But then I tell you, the moment I was ready, she was in our news director's office with me and saying, we got to get this kid on the anchor desk, get her going. And so I credit a lot of where I am today because of her.
Absolutely.
So, you know, Monday here in this news was just awful. But I tried to work I took off Tuesday, but I wanted to work Wednesday because I didn't want to miss a whole lot. And when I went to anchor my show, I could just hear her saying, "Get tough, Alan. You gotta get out there.
Tough and get
out there, kid. Get it done."
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that's been.
We're so glad that you've made the trip here to be with us this week and through the weekend. It's great to see you.
Yeah, it's great to be
And I'm
here
so
with-
proud of
Thanks
you.
for sharing all those Snapchats, because it's really helped bring the essence of Emily, to life.
I remember the first day I came in here to do a station tour. She was wearing her red, of course. It was
Must
a
have been a
Friday.
Friday.
Yes. And I ran into a bunch of people, and I said, "I'm from Tennessee," and she was like, "Someone from Tennessee. I love country music."
Oh, she
and I'm
did.
thinking, God, this lady, she thinks I'm some stereotypical bumpkin. Like, I'm not even from Nashville.
Yeah.
But she called me her Tennessee honey.
Aw.
So I think of that a lot now, too. But I'm going to try to get through these. But
Okay.
I brought these. These are 2 cards that Em gave me before I left. And we've talked about the chickens over the course of 2 days. Well, those chickens were part of like some cruelty case, and there was like 7 or 8 of them that had nowhere to go. So of course Emily with her barn was like, "I'll take all these silky show chickens." And she brings one in, and it's just sitting in a crate in the newsroom forever. And for some reason I was like, let's name it Tina Turner. And so she named her Tina Turner, and long story short, Tina Turner ended up getting ate by like a coyote or
Yeah,
something.
coyotes at the yard,
So she gives me this card that says, "You're clucking amazing." And it says, "Kristen, I had picked a sentimental card first, then I saw this and had to get them both. Guaranteed you'll never be in another newsroom where a coworker brings in chickens to adopt. R.I.P. Tina Turner. Love, Emily." And then this is the real one. And I think this kind of shows our relationship. She said, "Kristen, I know your time in Erie wasn't all butterflies and rainbows, but you should be so very proud of yourself for doing something so hard. You'll be up for any challenge after this. From day one, I knew you were someone special, and I've never seen someone come in and have the talent you do, honestly. I know you'll get your passion back and continue to kill it. You were born to do this job. Don't ever forget that. I will miss you so incredibly much. The newsroom banter will never be the same. I wish you nothing but the best on your next chapter and look forward to many more snaps. Love you always."
Take that with you
Those
forever.
positive encouragements that she really did
She
put out
lifted
there all
you
the
up.
time. Yeah.
And you're better for it.
Absolutely.
Yes,
So
and you'll continue on and keeping her in mind as well. She'll lead and guide you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Biggest
being
cheerleader
here.
for
Thanks,
Thanks for
Kristen.
sharing that
Love
with
it.
us.
Thank you guys.
We're going to listen to a little video of Emily again sharing her thoughts about some very important people in her life here professionally.
Pam truly is the rock of Erie News Now. I mean that. Since I walked in the door about 20 years ago, she's been here, and she's been here for me for so much, both personally and professionally. And Erie News Now is truly a family. I'm not just saying that. And Pam is the one that made us that way.
Yeah, she calls Erie News Now a family, and we're seeing that this week. We're leaning on each other. We're having, we're leaning on our family, our work family, as we keep calling it.
Yeah, and Pam Forsythe, you have officially retired, but you're here still managing events and stuff, but you're still very much a part of what goes on here. Sonia Baez is joining us as well. Just talking a little bit about, the women leadership and kind of the mom factor a little bit. I know that you had that with Emily as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I did go to the viewing earlier, and her mother, first thing she said is Em's other mother.
Yeah.
And it was very special for me.
What's your earliest memories of
Oh my
Emily in the
goodness.
newsroom?
Her, well, of course, as everybody says, her laughter, but her spunkiness. Her spunkiness. There were times, she was always respectful to me. It was like, if she was asked to do something, as a boss for me, she would say, "Okay, that's great," or, "Well, I don't think it's the best idea, but whatever you want,
and I'll do it."
Yeah. But even before that, before I ever became the general manager, we were friends, and we would go out and, she had a love for country music. I have a love for country music, so we would go to concerts together and have a great time. And you know, I always said, well, I might be old, but I can still look. And we didn't mind looking at some of those good-looking country boys.
Why not? Why not? And Sonia, you come in here at night with Sonia and friends to record your program. So I'm sure that you had some interaction with Emily here or there.
We did. And like their show would come on at 7, and so we would get here like 7:20, 7:25, and we would cross paths like in the powder room. I was telling Pam the powder room. She's like,
The green room.
Yeah.
And she would always have on these really beautiful dresses. So I said, like, how many dresses do you have? And you shop all the time. And she's like,
Ross dress for less.
Sonia. Yeah, and so she was just giving us tips like, you know, I'm always shopping. My dresses have to look nice. And I said, oh my gosh, I've never seen you wear the same thing twice. But she's very encouraging and positive. And she would always ask us, like, who do we have coming up next? Have a great show, girls. And we appreciated that. Even a guest too, like, you know, she'd introduce herself.
Made
and,
people feel comfortable.
Just feel very welcomed.
Yeah,
Comfortable.
I would say one of the things that people probably don't know about her is how much she really cared, quietly cared. You know, I went through some tough times and personally, and she always came in and made sure that I was okay. You know, anything you want to talk about, Pam? How is, you know, how are things going? I'd lost someone, my grandson, as you know, and we talked about that a lot. And you know, that's a side of Emily not everybody got to see because she had that toughness and the fun, and but she did care deeply about people.
You know, and if we didn't feel this way about Emily, we wouldn't do 2 hours just about Emily. I mean, we could do 3, 4, or 5. She was that kind of person that deserves this type of tribute, and it's really true. We're not just putting it on for this. She deserved that type of this type of tribute.
Absolutely. I've been so honored to be able to be a part of this yesterday and today. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts and your insights and your memories. I adored Emily very, very much, and it's going to be hard to keep going. I mean, we sat kitty corner from each other. There were just countless times where I'd look up and she'd look at me and I'd say, okay, meet in the bathroom. Let's go. We'd have to run into the bathroom and chat about something.
And her desk is right in the middle of our newsroom, and it's fitting because she was such an anchor to that newsroom, and now it's like there's this big giant hole both physically and you know, emotionally in our newsroom.
And the laughter that would come from the newsroom, you know, my office is halfway up a hall, and I would hear that laughter and I would come down and say, okay, well, way too much laughter in this newsroom, and we would joke about that too. So
she was a beautiful soul.
Absolutely.
And thank you for leading us all these years and being a good, you know, mentor to us as well. I think that we're being told that we need to wrap.
I think we have a few extra minutes. I think we're going to bring in our Scott McDowell.
Scott, are you going to come over and join us?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
As I cut in front of cameras and
Yeah.
We are at the Erie Zoo for this holiday trend segment.
And we're with Johnny Llama and Josie Llama.
John, you know llamas are smart and social mammals.
I actually did, but did you know they have absolutely no historical significance to Christmas whatsoever?
No significant meaning? Ever hear of Fa La 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 Llama?
I have things to do. I have snow. I have like 3 feet of snow coming. I don't have time for this.
I'm really bummed I couldn't find my Christmas earrings.
No one's gonna miss them. This is gonna be funny.
This is going to be our best holiday promo ever. From your only and favorite 7 o'clock news team, Merry Christmas.
Good? You have enough? Good. Good. Enjoy yourselves. She got me.
I don't have time for this.
No surprise.
I don't have time for this.
Well, Emily and I always tried to make special Christmas ones. We wanted to make unique ones because we were a little competitive with the other staff. And she came up, and I don't remember the specifics, but she kept going. And then I'm like, just annoying me. But when I came off camera, I turned around, I go, you did that purposely. You like they had it planned just to aggravate me.
Yeah.
That was
I mean, she went out and got her own llama sweater.
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing this. She came in one day and goes, I got a surprise. I got a surprise. I go, what is it? What is it? She goes, I can't tell you. I can't tell you. Then all of a sudden she goes, ta-da!
Yeah, you're going to find this amazing too. Yeah, she didn't tell me either. There's so much I've learned over these 2 hours that I've never known.
Well,
never
you know,
known.
you're on a need-to-know basis.
Emily, I'll tell you my quick one for you because I got so many of them. But Emily in Guam, And she does Guam TV for us. And to sit her down and tell her, Emily, I'd like you to anchor
love this story.
the noon or the Guam newscast.
No, I
She
don't want
told
to.
you no.
I really
No,
don't
I'm not
want
doing
to.
that.
No, I'm not doing that. You know how long it took me just to convince her to be an anchor on our news? Took 3 years. No, I don't want to do it. I'd much rather be in the community. Nope, I like the streets. I want to be in the community. It just speaks volumes to her. But guys, the other message, what are your stories? You have sat
You
here,
brought
you've
one up
given
that made
us
me
round
laugh
and
the other
round. What
day.
are your stories?
Amanda said to me, she said, remember like Thursday you cut her hair?
Yeah.
I'm like, I did. I cut her hair right in the newsroom. She needed a piece cut off.
She said, this is driving me crazy. Somebody grab Carrie, take these scissors and cut this for me.
And then I cut a piece, and she said, "Not like that. It's too late, honey.
It's too late.
But it was just that fun, spontaneous.
I'm going to take
energy.
forever Thursday and Friday with me because we had the funniest story. She was getting out of that police ticket. You were cutting her hair. We were just laughing over so much mundane stuff, and that's what I'm going to take with me because that was Emily, and I loved her dearly.
And guys, we've talked about so much stuff, but we will talk about the serious stuff too.
We will.
Next week,
All
we'll
of
get into
all
it.
of next week will be into our coverage of mental health and crisis and support and
grief.
resources and grief along the way.
Yeah.
It's very important to all of us. We had this planned well before.
Yeah.
And
we are
And we're
to
getting
carry
the
it
big
in.
wrap.
I know you are.
I know.
We're out.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
ladies.
Thank you so much for
you.
joining us. It meant a lot to us for everyone who reached out and who's been on this journey with us through this week.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We love you all.